Hello, guys. It is me, the Political Kid, and we are here today with something that I do want to talk about since it is the end of the year. Also, first of all, I am making 3 videos today. If you're wondering, if you see my post on my community page, and I will be trying to do some new things for the new year. So if you're wondering about that, just go to my community posts and stuff. But anyway, let's get into the video. So basically, it's the end of 2025, and 2026 does have a lot of things for the political world. There's probably going to be a lot of contenders for the Republican and Democrat nominations for 2028 who will announce their run in 2026. And um, before 2026 begins, we should probably talk about how this year's kind of affected those who are potentially running. So basically, for Democrats, it's a way more contentious scene as there's not really a main figurehead for the Democrat Party, but for Republicans, that's the shortest part, so we'll be talking about that first. So obviously, JD Vance is the vice president of the person who's now in his second term, Donald Trump, and no matter how many people say that he could somehow get a third term, Trump will not get a third term. And yeah. So basically, because of that, JD Vance is very popular because of how much influence he has. I mean, he's the second most important guy in the nation right now. And because of that, he has a lot of influence, especially not just within the Republican Party, but with a lot of conservative online spaces like talk shows and podcasts and that sort of thing. So he does have a lot of influence, and there's many Republicans who've kind of insinuated that they won't be running against JD Vance, like Marco Rubio, who has insinuated that, which for a lot of moderate Republicans is really interesting since we could be going in a more populist direction, but there also could be a kind of system where it's an anti-Vance movement in 2028 where like oh like um the 2020 Democrat primaries, it could kind of be a thing like that where Bernie Sanders he was going against basically everybody, and that could be like JD Vance going against everybody if the other Republicans kind of united in a way against Vance. That would probably be the only way that somebody else than Vance would be nominated. And um yeah, that's basically it. Whether or not he's popular enough to win is really up for the next 2 years, honestly, because I mean, he doesn't get that much traction for policies that Trump does, but he will be still heavily tied to the current administration because of his position. Anyway, back to the Democrats. The probably main contender, and this is in heavy quotes since it is so early still to talk about it, but many people are assuming that Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is going to be the nominee. This is probably because, although he was very unpopular in January this year because of the whole California thing, he has been getting a little bit more support within mainstream liberal Democrats who kind of want to push away from the more populist leaning that the 2025 has pushed on Democrats. So if the establishment Democrats would want to put out something like that would still have them have some influence in politics, like those Chuck Schumer kind of Nancy Pelosi types, they could push a more agenda on Gavin Newsom, so it'd be more likely for him to push those types of ideals, and we could have another election where a mainstream Democrat goes against an outside Republican, and that's been going on for a while now, and that's just it. But other contenders who I think would be better in the general election, but don't have as much of a chance in the actual primaries, would be people like Josh Shapiro, AOC, even though she's like super liberal in that area, and other types of governors that there are, because 2028 will be a governor election. Like Washington insiders are not popular. There's a lot of governors like California, Illinois, and many others who will probably be running because of those specific popularities within their own states. Those favorite son types of um, contenders within the Democrat Party. Which one would be most viable to win the election is still undecided, which isn't great for a prediction video like this, but it is still kind of good to talk about these sort of things. Um, yeah, and other than that, third parties have no chance of getting a lot of support because, I mean, did you look at the last election? Yeah, libertarians, green parties. I mean, if I were you, I'd just vote for the party that would probably, like, most supports your values. It sucks, but honestly, democracy is not the best place, is not most viable in America right now, and multi-party systems aren't that popular right now, especially in America. Um, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. However, I do want to talk about how kind of these midterm elections could change the possible 2028 election. If the midterms do shift in a leftwards direction, maybe having one or two seats shift for the Democrat in the Senate and if and a lot for in the House, that could possibly lead to a Democrat majority if they were to get 51 seats in the Senate, because if it's 50-50, then the Senate majority leader could just, or sorry, no, the JD Vance could just do what Kamala Harris did and just vote on everything that the Democrats want. So Democrats would need a lot of support within moderate states and put that kind of funding in states like just like more purple states. I would not call them purple states. I would call them red shaded states because they are very Republican in a lot of ways, but there are still many cities that could change kind of the overall contention within that state. They're still Republican, but there's still a chance for some um, election results to go the other way, especially when in local elections and not the presidential elections. So, because of that, if you were a Democrat, I'd say that you'd probably want to get more funding within those states for, and if they were to flip Congress, that would give them a lot of opportunities to block a lot of legislation coming from the more Trump centric kind of agenda. And it would cause a lot of Trump's base to be really mad. Like it would cause a lot more polarization overall. And that could be a bad thing for Democrats and a good thing since they will be able to block a lot of agendas, but to the American people, it'll just be like, they're not passing anything because they're so polarized. So it's a good and bad thing for Democrats if they are able to flip the House or Senate. For Republicans, you need to keep those seats alive. You need to put all of your funding into seats that you currently have. Don't try to expand because that's a really bad idea. Because, I mean, if you look at the unpopularity of the president right now, and I'm saying this as a Republican, okay? I'm saying this as a moderate Republican, and also this channel is to just, also I'm just making sure that, that I'm trying to not be, biased. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of seats that would like if there are seats that are in contention, they won't be too supportive of the president because for those chances, I mean, they have people that are looking, hey, we were promised something, it hasn't happened yet. So who do we vote for now? If I were a Republican, I'd put all your funding into current seats that would be up for contention. Because if you look at the Tennessee special election that happened, that was a 13-point swing for Democrats. I mean, Republicans did win it, but still, it went from 22% to 9%. That's a bad thing, and that could be a special case. It is still a special election case, and reportedly Republicans do better in higher turnout elections, apparently, um, according to some news sources. But that's still a shift. And there's still going to be a shift in the general elections, and I will be predicting that there will be at least a seat in the Senate going to Democrats. And if I were the Republicans, I would kind of just put funding into those that are still able to be in contention for Republicans. That's it, and that's my last 2025 prediction for 2028/2026. Thank you all so much. I hope you subscribe. I'm trying to get 1,700 before the end of the year. So if you were to subscribe, that'd be a lot of help. Comment, hype this on the new hype system. But if you want to see more of this, support me. And thank you, and have a great winter.